Hey everyone, it's Austin here, and today I'm doing my daily vlog kind of thing or whatever. And I didn't want to do kind of a short one today because I've been doing short ones for the past few days. Instead, I wanted to talk about a subject, and I'll probably do some commentary that I'll go more into detail with this. But just to kind of have a conversation, or the intent of a conversation. I know I don't have enough people that comment on my videos or whatever to actually have a discussion about this, but I'm just going to throw out my ideas from what I've seen over the past several years. With that, the new game consoles coming out, whenever you hear game consoles, most people are thinking one of two things: upgraded games or upgraded home entertainment space. And that's all they think about. They don't see how the new gaming consoles affect everybody that has anything to do with technology. Because whenever the gaming consoles upgrade, all the other types of technology soon follow. Whenever we got the 360 and the PS3, that's whenever we started seeing 4 gigs of RAM being, the new standard. 500 gig hard drives. These things, came. I'm not going to say as a result. I don't know how much of it's just a natural progression, but it seems as though every time a console takes a big step, other things soon follow behind it. And I think that's going to be the case here. That don't look at it as just we're going to get a gaming console. How much our phones, like our smartphones, how much are they going to try to increase what's under the hood of those to, make the gaming the gaming quality as close to match as they can? Because that's what smartphones do now. All of the big companies, like Gameloft, they try to make console quality games. That's their big thing. They take big console names and they try to turn it into something that they can sell on mobile and make money for it, because it helps if you can't be on your console, it helps to play those games to feel like you're on your console. And how much are developers going to try to chase after that market? It's a no-brainer. I mean, and it's something that's already been done. But now that game's being stepped up, it's going to look a lot prettier. Going to be able to do a lot more versatile things. The mobile developers are going to have to follow suit, and that's going to have a demand for better hardware. With the smartphones, it's also going to, I would assume, get more 4K TVs sold. In case you don't know, 4K resolution TVs are starting to slip their way into the market. Last year was not a good year for them, because I think that's whenever the first one was released to the public, and I think it was about $25,000 for, I think, like a 55-inch. I can't remember. It was the one that Sony released, and then Sony released another model this year. And I think it's $5,000 for a 55-inch. I could be wrong. I can't remember. And that's going to come down. I mean, in 1 year, it came down to $20,000. So it's going to continue, of course. And the demand for 4K TVs is going to go up, because you have these new consoles that can show off this, graphical fidelity, and you're going to want to see it. Maybe not in the next year or 2 years or 3 years. But at some point, 4K TVs is going to be the standard, kind of like how we have 720p and 1080p TVs now. We're going to want more than just our regular HD. It's going to get bigger. It's going to get better. So gaming consoles they are going to push TVs forward, and that's a big deal. I mean, all these different facets of the global market is going to be affected by these consoles. I'm really interested to see how PCs are affected by this, because usually owners, they live in their own little bubble. They're not within the console space, and they have no reason to be, really. But whenever new consoles come out, like whenever the PS3 came out and the 360 came out, there were new tech specs that you started kind of seeing as a trend. I mean, right now you see the if you go to like Walmart and look at their computers. I'm not talking about ones that you buy the parts for. I'm just talking, go to Walmart, go to Best Buy, wherever they build your computer and screw you with a horrible price. The normal makeup that you see is 4 gigs of RAM. Who knows what kind of RAM in terms of speed. I mean, of course, it's probably DDR3, but in terms of speed, 4 gigs of RAM, 500 gig hard drive. Well, operating system doesn't matter anymore, 7 or 8, whatever. They're mostly all coming with 8 though. What's another typical thing you see? I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head, but those are the ones that you kind of always see. And now it's more like I mean, and you see dual cores. That's just how it is. Now you're starting to see some quad cores. And I'm mostly thinking, whenever I think of these specs, I'm thinking of laptops, because I don't even think Walmart sells desktops anymore. I don't know. I go in there and I look all the time just to see what kind of crap they're dishing out to you this week. And I look at the laptops, but I don't think that I haven't seen desktops in there in a long time. But that's the kind of thing you see. Now you're starting to see more quad cores finally in laptops. And 8 gigs of RAM if you're willing to pay like $900, well, $700 to $900. And so those are the kind of things you're seeing, but I'm interested to see how much this just jumps whenever new consoles come out, because it happened with the last console cycle, or release. It's like things were where they were, and if there wasn't consoles, it probably would have been here. But because of the consoles, it just jumps so much that I mean, it's a good thing, we need those jumps every once in a while, and not just just go along on this really slow progressing path or whatever, we need those jumps every now and again. And I think people need to start looking at it in those terms, So, my mom she doesn't care about the PlayStation 4 coming out. To me, I'm like, yippee, more games. But she doesn't care. But what she would care about is a better computer being cheaper for her, because these parts aren't the thing anymore. These don't cost as much to make. So now instead of paying $50 for 4 gigs of RAM, maybe she can pay $20 for 4 gigs of RAM. Or maybe she can get one 8 gig stick for $50 now. It's like, it's not only about us being able to get the newest thing, it's also about making what is the newest thing right now cheaper, to where a whole different class of people can get their hands on this stuff because now they can afford it. Now it's in their price range. And I've had to live most of my gaming life like that if I didn't have a console. After the original Xbox, I was old enough to kind of think better, because I was probably 12 or something like that, and I started learning how to build my own computer. And so I got my own computer, and I've been gaming on that up until about 6 months ago. And that's because I moved into my own house, and it wasn't technically my computer. I was living with my grandparents, so I had to leave the computer there. They needed a computer, and I had a laptop, so I bought a PS3, and I game on that for right now. I haven't left my mentality of PC is better. That's not even an argument. It's just a fact. But that's not what I'm talking about. It's just that if people start looking at it in terms of this is going to be better for everybody, it's more like a stimulus, to where what the top of the line has right now, they're going to be able to get better top of the line, and their top of the line is going to shift down, And now the middle grade people that can afford mid-range systems, they can now buy this stuff. And the low-range guys that can't hardly afford anything, they can afford and enjoy what the middle guys are getting. And I think that's a great thing, and I don't see why anybody would be opposed to that. And I don't think they are. It's just people need to start looking at it in those terms and not as simple as, hey, it's 2 new consoles. Well, I don't play games, so I don't give a shit. Well, that's not how it is. And I think it's a very interesting topic, mostly because I don't hear anybody talking about it. You know, I follow Rev3 Games very closely. I follow IGN very closely. I follow GameSpot very closely because these are things that I'm interested in and I want to know about them. And I haven't heard this discussion about how the new consoles affect other parts of the market, because they all have to, you know, thrive together. It's not just one can stand alone. That's not how it works. You know, Sony doesn't just make consoles. They've got music. They've got, I mean, you know, they've got their official music studios. They've got their filming part of the industry. They sell the TVs. You know, it's not. They are not just a gaming company. And although that is the face of them, I guess, just like Nintendo. Well, they all, okay, that's a different thing. I'm getting screwed up here. But they all have to exist together, and so I think it's really important to talk about how the markets are all going to be affected together. And so if you watch this video and feel the same way, or even if you disagree, actually, moreover, if you disagree, because I want to hear why you would disagree, but I think it's a very interesting topic to talk about, that of how it affects it. If there's a way that it affects it that I haven't talked about, please let me know, because I love thinking about it. I love talking about it, because well, I mean, it's something we're going to see in time anyway, but it's also good to, you know, jot this stuff down to know it, because, you know, more likely than not, it's going to happen again whenever we get our next console. And to have this confirmed in my mind is going to be really, really interesting for, you know, 10, maybe 5, 10 years down the line, whenever we have a new console, or expecting a new console, to kind of estimate how big that gap's going to be, and then see how far, in like 10, 15, 20, 30 years, how many gaps we're going to just, how many jumps we're going to make, and try to get an estimate of what we're going to be working on in 20 years. I mean, I'm sure the government already knows. I'm sure they do. But it'd be interesting to kind of try to calculate and see, what are we going to be doing in 20 years? What are we going to be gaming on? What are we going to be, you know, creating music on, or doing our films with? You know, it's the whole industry and how it's going to be affected by these things that I want to talk about. And if you're watching this video, and you're not already bored out of your mind from me probably saying the same things over and over again, leave a comment or send me a message or something. I want to get a conversation going about this, because I don't see one, and there is a real need for one. So thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up or subscribe or whatever. That was a weird... Okay. Give it a thumbs up or subscribe. Or check out the channel if this is the first video that you're seeing. I've been doing some stuff with OnLive. You know, cloud gaming's becoming the big thing now, and as both of these major game companies are talking about their cloud gaming service that they're going to put in to their console, I think it's good to take a look at the ones that are already there. And I've used the OnLive service since day one. Use it for gaming at first, and now I use it to talk about things usually. You know, show the games, show how input lag is your enemy, and, you know, just kind of what to expect with cloud gaming, because it looks like this generation is going to be heavily focused on cloud gaming. And so I think it's important to know what you're getting into before you get into it. So check out some of those reviews. I talk about, you know, Homefront, Unreal Tournament 3, other games, racing games and stuff, and how, not the game content itself, but how it works on OnLive, specifically on that platform. So check that out. I have daily vlogs stuff like that, other commentaries. So check it out and see if it's your thing. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you will. Bye-bye.